when Maya and Mia Johnson stepped into Riverstone Karate Academy, they knew they'd stand out. Two black girls in a sea of white faces. Sarah Bennett and Emily Carter, black belt stars, didn't just mock their skills. They sneered about street girls who didn't belong. Even the boys joined in, taunting their every move. Yet, Maya and Mia weren't just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for every kid too scared to speak up. What these bullies didn't know was that the twins were forging a plan to turn the tables. Comment where you're watching from, and subscribe, because this story will change how you see courage. The air in Springfield, Ohio, felt heavy with expectation that first day at Riverstone Karate Academy. Maya and Mia, 15-year-old twins, stood side by side, their yellow belts cinched tight over crisp white karate uniforms. They moved with the unspoken harmony only twins share, each step mirrored, each glance a silent conversation. Around them, the dojo buzzed with students, mostly white, confident, and comfortable in a space that felt like theirs alone. The mirrored walls reflected their stares, some curious, others cold. Sensei Daniel Carter's voice cut through the hum, calling for warm-ups, but his eyes slid past the twins as if they were invisible. Sarah and Emily, the dojo's golden girls, whispered and laughed, their black belts gleaming with authority. A boy named Logan smirked, muttering something about girls who don't belong in karate. The words stung, but Maya's jaw tightened, and Mia's hand brushed her sister's, a quiet vow to endure. They weren't just here to learn kicks and punches. They were here to prove something deeper, something no one in that room could yet understand. The dojo's air grew thicker each week, heavy with the sting of whispered insults and deliberate shoves. Maya struggled through a front kick, her focus fraying as Sarah's voice cut through the hum of practice. Black girls playing at karate. Stick to basketball, she sneered, her words laced with venom. Emily laughed, her black belt glinting as she mimicked Maya's stance mockingly. Logan, never far behind, jeered, "Where'd you learn that? The streets." The room's laughter burned, but it wasn't just the twins who suffered. Ethan, the quiet boy with threadbare sneakers, flinched as Emily accidentally bumped him, sending him stumbling. Sophie, a shy girl mocked for her weight, kept her head down, avoiding the taunts. During sparring, Emily's kick landed hard on Mia's shin, a smirk masking her intent. Sensei Carter's voice rang out, "Toughen up, yellow belts!" But his eyes stayed fixed elsewhere, blind to the cruelty. Maya caught Mia's gaze, their silent bond, a shield against the pain. Lily whispered again, urging them to quit, but Mia's voice was firm. "Running won't stop this." They stood taller, their resolve a quiet fire, determined to protect not just themselves, but every kid who felt invisible in that room. The nights in Springfield grew colder, but the Johnson house held a warmth that no dojo could match. Maya and Mia sat cross-legged on their bedroom floor, the glow of a desk lamp casting soft shadows across their faces. The day's taunts echoed, Sarah's sneers, Logan's jabs, Emily's cruel kicks, but the twins refused to break. "If we walk away," Mia whispered, her voice steady. "Ethan, Sophie, all the others, they'll be next." Maya nodded, her eyes fierce with agreement. "We're not just fighting for us," she said. They slipped downstairs to the garage where their father, James Johnson, waited. A former Marine, his presence was a quiet storm, calm but unyielding. "No one gets to hurt my girls," he said, his voice low, resolute, as he hung a heavy punching bag. The twins shared their pain, the racist taunts, the bruises from sparring, the dojo's silence. James's jaw tightened, but his eyes softened with pride. "You're stronger than they know," he told them. In that cramped garage, he began teaching them moves the dojo never would. Sharp, practical techniques for survival, not sport. Maya practiced quick jabs, her fists snapping against the bag. Mia worked on dodging, her feet light as air. Every punch carried their anger, every block their hope. Ethan's face flashed in their minds, his timid frame shrinking under Logan's cruelty. Sophie's too, her shoulders hunched against Emily's laughter. Lily's plea to leave echoed, but the twins shook it off. "We stay," Maya said, sweat beading on her brow. "We change this place." James watched, his voice steady, as he corrected their form. "It's not just about fighting," he said. "It's about standing up for what's right." The twins nodded, their bond a silent vow to protect the overlooked. Each night, they grew stronger, their movements sharper, their spirits unbroken. They hid their progress at the dojo, enduring Sarah's barbs and Sensei Carter's indifference. But in that garage, under James's guidance, they were forging something unstoppable. A strength that would soon shake Riverstone to its core, not just for themselves, but for every kid who'd ever felt small under a bully's shadow. The garage became a sanctuary, its dim fluorescent light a beacon in the Springfield night. Maya and Mia moved with purpose, their breaths sharp as they struck the punching bag, its chains rattling with each hit. James stood nearby, his marine-honed instincts guiding their every move. "Faster," he said, his voice calm but firm, as Mia ducked an imaginary blow. "Hit where they're weak, stomach, knees." Maya threw a jab, her fist slicing the air, sweat glistening on her skin. These weren't the dojo's choreographed forms. These were lessons for survival, raw and real. James taught them to read an opponent's stance, to turn their size against them. "You're not just fighting," he said. "You're protecting." The twins nodded, their minds flashing to Ethan, his patched sneakers scuffing the dojo floor, and Sophie, her eyes dodging Emily's cruel smirks. At Riverstone, they stayed quiet, masking their growing skill. Sarah's taunts, "Street girls can't fight," stung less now, fuel for their resolve. Logan's jeers and Emily's shoves were met with steady gazes, the twins' silence hiding their fire. One evening, Ethan lingered outside the garage, his thin frame barely visible in the dusk. He'd seen them training, his eyes wide with awe. "Why don't you just leave?" he asked, voice trembling. Mia paused, her gloves still on. "Because we deserve to be there, Ethan." "So do you." Her words landed softly, but they carried weight. Maya added, "If we go, nothing changes." Ethan looked down, his shoulders a little straighter. The twins kept training, their bodies aching, but spirits soaring. James pushed them harder, his voice a steady anchor. "You're not just learning to fight," he said one night, as Mia landed a perfect kick. "You're learning to stand for something bigger." The twins exchanged a glance, their bond unspoken but ironclad. They weren't just fighting for themselves anymore. They were fighting for every kid who'd been pushed down, laughed at, ignored. At the dojo, they endured Sensei Carter's blind eye, Sarah's venom, Emily's cheap shots, but each night in that garage, they built something stronger than their bullies' hate, a quiet, unshakable power. They moved faster, hit harder, their every strike a promise to themselves, to Ethan, to Sophie. The world didn't know it yet, but Maya and Mia were becoming warriors, not just of the dojo, but of something far greater, ready to shift the ground beneath Riverstone's feet. The Springfield Community Center buzzed with anticipation, its polished floors reflecting the harsh glow of overhead lights. Maya and Mia stood at the edge of the mat, their yellow belts stark against their crisp karate uniforms, eyes locked on the crowd. Sarah Bennett and Emily Carter, black belts gleaming with confidence, strutted across the arena, their smirks sharp as knives. "Yellow belts daring to face us?" Sarah scoffed, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "This'll be quick." Emily's laugh echoed, but the twins' faces stayed calm, their breathing steady, their bond a silent steel. The referee called them to the center, and the air crackled with tension. Maya faced Sarah first, her stance low, eyes unyielding. Sarah lunged, her kick swift, but Maya sidestepped, her training with James kicking in. She countered with a precise jab to Sarah's stomach, sending her stumbling, gasping. The crowd hushed, stunned. Mia stepped up against Emily, whose smug grin faltered as Mia dodged a high kick, her movements fluid, almost effortless. With a quick pivot, Mia landed a sharp knee strike, and Emily hit the mat hard. Whispers rippled through the stands. Nobody expected this. Sensei Carter's face drained of color, his clipboard trembling in his hands. Sarah, recovering, shouted, "They're cheating!" But the referee shook his head, the scoreboards flashing the twins' points. Logan, watching from the sidelines, clenched his fists, his taunts silenced. The twins fought with a quiet ferocity, every move honed in that garage under James's watchful eye. Maya's blocks were tight, her strikes deliberate. Mia's footwork danced around Emily's aggression. The crowd, once skeptical, began to cheer, drawn to the twins' undeniable skill. James sat in the stands, his nod subtle but proud, his eyes never leaving his daughter's. As the final bell rang, the referee raised Maya and Mia's hands, declaring their victories. Sarah and Emily stood frozen, their black belts suddenly meaningless. The twins didn't gloat, they simply bowed, their humility a stark contrast to their opponent's arrogance. Ethan, watching wide-eyed, clapped fiercely, his timid smile breaking through. Sophie, in the crowd, stood a little taller. The twins had done more than win a match. They'd shattered expectations, proving that strength wasn't in a belt's color, but in a heart that refused to bow. The dojo's walls seemed to tremble, as if Riverstone itself sensed the change coming, a shift sparked by two girls who fought for more than just themselves. The Springfield night was sharp with tension as Maya and Mia left the community center, their victory still humming in their veins. The parking lot, dimly lit by flickering streetlights, felt too quiet. The crowd's cheers now a distant memory. They walked side by side, their yellow belts tucked into their bags, unaware of the shadows moving behind them. Sarah Bennett and Emily Carter, faces twisted with rage, stepped out, Logan trailing close. "Think you're hot stuff now?" Sarah hissed, her voice venomous. Before the twins could respond, Sarah swung a wild punch, aiming for Maya's face. Instinct took over. Maya ducked, her body low, just as James had taught. She grabbed Sarah's arm, twisting it until she yelped, stumbling to her knees. Mia, quick as lightning, blocked Emily's kick, countering with a sharp shove that sent her sprawling. Logan lunged, but Mia sidestepped, her foot catching his ankle, dropping him to the asphalt. The scuffle was chaos, grunts, scuffling shoes, Sarah's curses, but the twins moved like a single unit, their garage training a shield. They didn't attack, they defended, each block precise, each push measured. Sarah scrambled up, her cheek grazed, screaming, "You'll pay for this!" Emily, clutching her side, sobbed in humiliated fury. Logan backed off, eyes wide with shock. The twins stood firm, breathing hard but unshaken, their eyes daring anyone to try again. A security guard's flashlight cut through the dark, his shout halting the fight. "What's going on here?" he barked. Sarah pointed, voice shrill. "They attacked us!" But the guard, eyeing the twins' calm faces and the bullies' disheveled state, wasn't fooled. Bystanders, lingering from the tournament, murmured about Sarah and Emily's taunts earlier. The guard radioed for backup, and soon tournament officials arrived. After hearing witnesses, they banned Sarah and Emily from future competitions, citing unsportsmanlike conduct. Logan slunk away, his bravado gone. Maya and Mia stayed silent, their humility louder than any boast. Ethan, who'd watched from the sidelines, looked at them with awe, his usual fear replaced by a spark of hope. James pulled up in his truck, his gaze sweeping over his daughters, pride mixing with relief. The twins climbed in, their hands still trembling, but their spirits unbroken. They hadn't sought this fight, but they'd ended it, proving their strength wasn't just in punches, but in standing tall for every kid who'd ever been pushed down. Riverstone's cracks were widening, and the twins were only getting started. The Johnson house stood quiet under Springfield's starry sky, its porch light casting a soft glow. Inside, Maya and Mia sat at the kitchen table, their hands wrapped around mugs of tea, the tournament's adrenaline still fading. The doorbell's sharp ring shattered the calm, insistent and angry. James rose, his broad frame filling the doorway as he opened it. Robert Bennett and Thomas Carter, fathers of Sarah and Emily, stood there, faces red with fury. "Your girls ruined our daughters' futures," Robert spat, his finger jabbing toward James. Thomas, fists clenched, stepped closer. "They attacked our kids in that parking lot." James's voice stayed low, steady as stone. "My daughters defended themselves. Your girls started it." Robert scoffed, shoving past the threshold, but James blocked him, his hand firm on Robert's chest. "You don't come into my home with threats," he said, eyes unyielding. Thomas lunged, swinging wildly, but James sidestepped, his marine training fluid. With a quick push, he sent Thomas stumbling onto the lawn. Robert charged, but James caught his arm, twisting it until he gasped, dropping to one knee. The scuffle was over in seconds, the men panting, humiliated. Maya and Mia watched from the doorway, their faces calm but resolute, mirroring their father's strength. Neighbors' lights flicked on, and a distant siren grew louder. James stepped back, hands raised as police arrived. "These men trespassed," he said evenly. The officers, after hearing Maya and Mia's account and noting Robert's aggressive stance, issued warnings for trespassing and disorderly conduct. Robert and Thomas retreated, muttering threats but powerless. James turned to his daughters, his voice soft but fierce. "You did nothing wrong. You stood your ground." The twins nodded, their bond a quiet fortress. They thought of Ethan, Sophie, and the others at Riverstone, kids who'd never seen anyone fight back before. This wasn't just their victory. It was a signal that bullies, even those shielded by privilege, could fall. As the police cars pulled away, the neighborhood settled back into silence. James closed the door, his hand resting on Maya's shoulder, then Mia's. The twins shared a glance, their resolve deeper than ever. They weren't just surviving Riverstone's cruelty. They were dismantling it, piece by piece, for every kid who'd ever felt small under its weight. The night grew still, but the change they'd sparked was only beginning to burn. The Riverstone Karate Academy, once a hub of Springfield's martial arts scene, now stood eerily silent. Its mirrored walls, once alive with reflections of confident students, now framed empty mats and scattered equipment. Sensei Daniel Carter moved slowly, packing boxes with a defeated slump. The scandal had unraveled everything. Parents pulled their kids, sponsors cut ties, and the dojo's reputation crumbled under the weight of its own neglect. Sarah and Emily, stripped of their competition rights, transferred schools, their black belts now relics of a tarnished pride. Logan kept his head down, his taunts silenced by shame. The news spread fast, whispers of the twins' stand echoing through Springfield's streets. Maya and Mia, though, had already moved on. They found a new home at Harmony Martial Arts, a small dojo run by Master Elena Ruiz. a former Olympian with a fire for fairness. Its walls buzzed with laughter, not cruelty, and its students, diverse, eager, welcomed the twins warmly. Maya and Mia, now orange belts, stood taller, their humility unshaken by their victory. They began teaching younger kids, their voices gentle but firm, guiding shaky punches and wobbly kicks. Ethan joined too, his patched sneakers no longer a source of shame. He sparred with a shy grin, his confidence blooming under the twins' encouragement. Sophie, once cowed by Emily's jabs, practiced beside them, her laughter a quiet triumph. "We stayed for them," Mia said one evening, watching Ethan nail a front kick. Maya nodded. "And for everyone who comes after." Their story rippled beyond the dojo, inspiring parents to demand accountability, kids to speak up. Harmony became a haven, its classes swelling with students who'd fled Riverstone's toxic air. The twins didn't boast. They shared their journey quietly, their eyes reflecting a purpose bigger than themselves. They thought of James, his steady lessons in the garage, and Lily, whose hesitant kindness had shown not everyone at Riverstone was cruel. Springfield was changing, slowly, because two girls refused to run. Their fight wasn't just against bullies. It was for a world where kids like Ethan and Sophie could stand tall. As Maya adjusted a student's stance, her voice soft but sure, the dojo's warmth wrapped around them all, a promise that their stand had sparked something enduring. The Johnson kitchen glowed under the soft light of a chandelier, the clink of forks against plates mingling with quiet laughter. Maya and Mia sat across from James, their faces relaxed, the weight of Riverstone's cruelty now a fading scar. Their journey had spread beyond Springfield, earning them a spot in a regional anti-bullying program. They shared their story with kids who'd felt invisible, their words simple but piercing. "You don't have to run from unfairness," Maya said, her voice steady. "Prepare, stand tall, and protect those who can't." James watched, his eyes warm with pride. "You turned pain into power," he told them later, his hand resting on theirs. At Harmony Martial Arts, the twins led classes, their orange belts a symbol of resilience. Ethan and Sophie thrived under their guidance, their confidence a testament to the twins' fight. The dojo became a beacon, drawing kids who'd once cowered under bullies' shadows. Maya and Mia didn't seek glory. Their quiet strength spoke louder, inspiring parents, teachers, even strangers to rethink silence in the face of wrong. Their stand had cracked open a truth. Change starts when someone refuses to bow. But it wasn't just their story. It was Ethan's, Sophie's, every kid who'd found courage because they dared to stay. So, what do you think? Is fighting back with strength ever the right answer? Or is there a better way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's keep this conversation going, because standing up doesn't end here. It's a choice we all make, every day, to build a world where no one feels small